Evening all. The Digimon poop is well underway, but I figured in the meantime, since I haven't any immediate ideas for YouTube poops, I do a commentary on one of my favorite and most popular YouTube poops, Obee Wang force feeds Queer Gong Jin his Man-Saber. Now, first off, I have to give credit where credit is due. A lot of you have said that you love the title. I did not come up with the title. It was done by a man named Comrade127. He is the guy who came up with that title for me. So, any thanks that you give me, give it to him. And anyways, well, first off, this is one of my favorite scenes right here. The Stanley Kubrick's The Shining scene mixed in. I mean, a lot of these ideas that I come up with for this poop, they were floating around in my head for quite some time, and it took me a while for me to really put them into the video editor. So I had a lot of stuff floating in my head for Star Wars Episode 1. That's usually what happens. That's usually what makes me choose my sources. Whatever I watch, whatever I really feel the urge to, or come up with a bunch of ideas for. Anyways, a thousand terrible things. Oh, love this scene right here, by the way. Yes. Much justice deserved. A lot of the ideas I come up with, they've been in my head for a long time. So, making these poops really gives me a chance to really bring them out. Bring them into the flesh, so to say. Now anyways, this scene right here, where the Gungan King is repeatedly doing that, that's also inspired by a poop made by my good friend Deepercut. It comes from a poop called Static Shock, the ripoff of Electro. It's spelled differently from how it sounds, so if you type it in, you might not get it. But in that poop, he has a very funny joke, one of my favorite jokes in the YouTube poop, where it's just repeatedly and I thought I'd just give it, you know, a little tribute, my own version of it. Deepercut does it better personally, so do go check his out first. Oh, yes, everybody loves Qui-Gon. And that's another thing about this poop that Deepercut really gave me the idea for. I'll explain this in just a second, because this right here, I love this scene where they're just, well, I mean, Obi-Wan is fixing up the electricity on the ship. Power goes back on, Jar Jar freaks out, and they cut the power. And this, I really love this joke. I mean, it's one of those jokes, I mean, power's back up, power's back up, power's back up. It's really one of those jokes where I was laughing at myself for coming up with this. It's like, genius, brilliant, whatever those Guinness commercials say. But anyways, Deepercut really gave me some inspiration during this poop. He gave me the idea of using Qui-Gon Jinn's "I don't sense anything" quotes, as you're about to see here. And it's used in ironic situations, dramatic irony, where unfortunately he is supposed to sense something. I know that I'm not supposed to explain the joke because it kills it, but it's a commentary. I can get away with that. But anyways, give kudos for Deepercut for that joke. I mean, most of these jokes, I mean, I didn't pull off, I didn't rip off or take a lot of ideas for many of these jokes. A lot of them I came up with originally. I mean, I really don't like pulling off of other people's ideas a lot because I like my ideas to show in my work, not other people's. Anyways, a lot of the scenes here are repetition and stuttering, and I get a lot of people saying that they don't really like it, that they don't think it's funny. I understand why. I put it in for pacing because I feel that if I put it in, I mean, it's really something that I do naturally. If it looks good, if it looks smooth, then I put it in to help keep the flow going. Oh yeah, here is another one. Like I said, I don't sense anything. Qui-Gon gets shot. Cut. Written and directed by George Lucas. Oh, one of my favorite jokes.
Who's there?
Interrupting cheese.
Interrupting cheese.
Yes, like I said, another instance where I was laughing at myself for that one. That was just one thing that I had in my head for a long time. If you're wondering about the source, it comes from a Cheez-It commercial, an American Cheez-It commercial. And for those who don't know, Cheez-Its are tiny, square, bite-sized snacks that are naturally made of cheese. So look up that commercial if you want. You should be able to find it if you just type interrupting cheese in there. Oh yeah, another thing I did with this poop is that I tried to install a dramatic scene because I felt this instance called for a dramatic scene. R2-D2, as you're about to see in just a second, R2-D2, feeling the call to duty, comes to the top of the ship, moves to where the blast has put a hole in the ship, tries to fix it. Danger is imminent. The lasers are firing on our heroes. Will he be able to do it in time? I love the music choice. I mean, the music I picked for this was trailer music. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it in an annotation in just a second. But it's one of those moments where, hey, I can do all sorts of things with poop. Not just make it funny, but really try to, you know, play with all sorts of different styles. Ah, yes. This is my penis. Oh yes, now we're on Tatooine. Now, the Tatooine scenes in Star Wars Episode 1, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, I want to say that over half the movie is done on Tatooine, so it's, I mean, pooping these parts were not as easy as pooping the other parts of the movie, because here the movie really slows down. I mean, you have the pod racer scene that helps to kick up the action in a little while, but oh, by the way, this is another joke from Deeper Cut. I mean, this comes from Ethan Mars is Gay, a great poop by him. But anyways, the Tatooine scenes were a little bit more difficult to poop, so I really had to strain myself to come up with ideas that help keep the flow of the story going along. I know that it might look like I had a plethora of ideas here, but in reality, it was pretty difficult. Anyways, back to the poop. This is the scene where Qui-Gon is trying to convince Watto using his Jedi powers. I mean, that's the thing. In Episode 1, Qui-Gon is such an incompetent Jedi because, I mean, I hear a lot of arguments on why. I mean, it's not just the fact that he is, well, he was killed by Darth Maul, he couldn't manipulate Watto, he just has this feel of someone who tries to be wise but really isn't, and it just plays into a lot of jokes. Because, I mean, I'm not the first to come up with that idea. I mean, if you look all around the internet, you'll see a lot of people calling Qui-Gon the worst Jedi. I mean, yes, the Haruhi scene. I try to make it so I put Haruhi in all of my poops. Love it, hate it, I do it. But, yeah, Qui-Gon, oh yeah, this scene right here, I get a lot of people saying that the ball scooping game was originally pointed out by, I'm trying to remember his name, but it was originally done by a reviewer who did a semi-comedic review, semi-serious review on Episode 1. And, I gotta remember his name. But I did not know that at first. So a lot of people, I got messages about that. And it's interesting because a lot of things about Episode 1 that people notice are also noticed by other people. Now, anyways, this scene coming up, it's a very darkly comedic scene. I mean, everyone hates Jar Jar. I mean, well, actually, most people like Jar Jar. I mean, if you like Jar Jar, good on you. I mean, he's funny to some, to me, and many others, eh. But this scene right here, where Jar Jar gets his hand stuck in the turbine, Anakin turns it on, and I just leave it off camera to have the audience interpret it. I mean, that's a very darkly comic scene that originally I was considering leaving out because I wasn't sure if it would mesh with the whole ridiculous comedy of the rest of the poop. I mean, a lot of the humor in my videos is just so out there, and this is something that maybe you'd see in, I don't know, a Coen Brothers film, where it's, I mean, or maybe even a Quentin Tarantino film where the comic is so black and dark and bleak. But I left it in, and luckily there were a few people that laughed. Oh, and for those who can't read the text, it says didn't hit him. Look at that. I mean, it didn't hit him when you slow it down. But anyways, the pod racer scene, and this was a little challenging for me to poop because there's no dialogue in it. Well, there's very little dialogue in it, and there are mostly some action scenes or some scenes where the pod racers just swoop by, just like that one. They just swoop by. Here they go into a tunnel. Here they go into a lane. By the way, that scene you just saw there, I was trying to parody the what the fuck boom, and well, turned out alright, I think. Anyway, back to the pod racer scene. That's why I'm putting in like a lot of stutters and repetition. There isn't a lot of room for jokes. I mean, the joke you just saw there with the Mario Kart shell, I mean, that was one of the few instances where I could really put a joke in there. The other times, I really had to rely on stutters and repetition to keep the flow going, to keep people watching, so to say. I mean, I know that people won't watch a poop a lot of times with stutters and repetition, but I just had to put something in there. Now this scene right here, I was trying to parody the original Star Wars, or Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, where Luke Skywalker hears Obi-Wan Kenobi talking to him, use the Force, Luke. I was trying to make a similar scene here, and I think that worked out pretty well. I mean, some people noticed it. I mean, that's the thing. With YouTube poop, you don't always have to make something funny. You just have to edit it. And that was one instance. I mean, I don't do that a lot, but a lot of the edits that I will make on occasion will be some semi-serious edits, or playing into a semi-serious edit. And, yeah. I love Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. I just found the opportunity to put that there. It does look like Darth Maul fell off though. Anyways, the lightsaber fights, again, another instance like the pod racer race where stutters and repetition really kind of take control here. And I didn't spend a lot of time there because, well, first off, it's a short lightsaber fight. And second, I didn't want to dwell too much on it. Now this scene right here, I mean, this is one of the few times where I use sentence mixing in here because movies are very hard to poop. And the reason being is because oftentimes the audio isn't clear enough to really sentence mix with. With something like CDI Zelda or Mario, you have a lot of clarity in the voice actors because they're using microphones and they're speaking, well, certain microphones, and they're speaking directly into the microphones. And because they're on a set here, it's not going to be as clear because you have different sounds getting in the way. So that is why when you're trying to poop a movie, or when I try to poop a movie, a lot of times I don't sentence mix because it's very difficult. I mean, Luke Skywalker, getting into say Luke Skywalker, I consider that an achievement. That might not be something to another pooper, but yeah, it is very difficult for me to poop movies sometimes, depending on whether or not they are speaking directly into a microphone. Now, as we're approaching the end of the video, this video was originally longer than 15 minutes. I thought at the time that the limit was 15 minutes, so I was trying to remove as much stuff as I could to really keep the jokes that I wanted to keep in, but unfortunately, I didn't realize that you can make videos longer than 15 minutes, so that's why there aren't a lot of stutters and repetition here. I mean, you just saw that instance where Jar Jar in the droid fields. That was stutter and repetition. That was only because I thought maybe, hey, it would work kind of as a joke, just repeatedly shooting the laser. And I love the Portal 2 sounds here. Now this scene right here I love. Just hearing Obi-Wan scream like that, or that scream in general, that comes from when Deeper Cut and I played tennis. And this scene right here, I'm not sure I should have put this in because, I mean, the whole EA fiasco, it's kind of blown over. It was only a joke for its time. And I love this right here. I mean, it's over. I have the high ground. Apparently that was a rule in Star Wars Episode 3. That's where I got the voice from. Apparently it's not a rule now. And this final joke, again, a lot of people love this joke. I'll let you listen to it.
Is that the support beam to the house?
Is that the support beam to the house? I mean, it's a very funny line, I gotta admit. So, all in all, first commentary, might do some more if you found them interesting. Again, Obee Wang force feeds Qui-Gon Jinn his Man-Saber, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Ending on Haruhi, and that's the way it goes. So anyway, Digimon Poop is still being worked on. I am well into it by now. I mean, at this point, I could call it finished and release it, but I don't want to because it doesn't feel right. It feels like an incomplete work. So anyway, this is Capt. Pan here, signing out. Evening all.